At the end of this month is our Spy Dangerous class. And I was just talking to somebody about this because they were asking me, they were in my office and they said, why do you have a giant box of Sharpie markers, especially red ones? The Magnums, these giant suckers right here. And the reason is we use this during our Spy Dangerous self defense training to obviously simulate a knife. So we pressure test and we debunk a lot of things. I tell people here's what actually works, here's doesn't what doesn't work. If heaven forbid you are in the absolute worst case scenario and somebody tries to attack you with a knife. Because this big red magic marker will show you, like, hey, I learned this in whatever, jujitsu or Krav Maga or whatever. Does it work or does not work? And that is what we find out. That is what we prove. So if you come to Spy Dangerous, which is spydangerous.com, except 2024 or 2023 sold out. 2024 has 24 seats. We've sold 9 of them. 24 minus 9. I'm no mathematician. So anyways, that is why I have a giant box of markers. But let's get down to business. Let me know what questions you have. Let me know how I can answer you and help you. And I'm sitting here reading everything. I did have one person right before I got on send me a message and said, why do you not recommend safety deposit boxes for emergency cash? I don't recommend safety deposit boxes because obviously I don't have 24/7 control. The bank closes. I can't get my cash in the middle of the night. I'm gonna tell you a fun story. My dad getting arrested back in the day. Yes, this is a true story. This is 100% true. So I was born and raised in Northern Virginia, just a few miles outside of Washington, D.C. And I want to say I was probably like 6 or 7 years old. And my mom gets a call that my dad is in jail in Washington, D.C., and he's been arrested. And this was a call, maybe, I don't know, 6 or 7 at night, whatever. And what happened is him and his business partner had parked in D.C., and his business partner had a bunch of unpaid parking tickets. So they came back to the car after some meetings, and there was a boot on the car of his business partner's car because he was driving. And his business partner, I guess, lost his cool, which is never a good idea to do with the police. And he was trying to take the boot off or something, and the police drove by and they arrested them both. And the police drove by and they arrested them both because his business partner was trying to take the boot off of this vehicle. And so they were in the DC jail. It was later in night, again, 6 or 7 in the evening. And they said, you need to come down. I don't remember the exact amount. I want to say it was $1,200. Like, hey, you need to come down and basically get your husband out of jail, and you got to bring $1,200 in cash. My family back in the day didn't have a ton of money, did not have $1,200 in emergency cash at home, could not go to the bank and get out the $1,200 because all the banks were closed. However, we had some very dear Italian friends who had a ton of money, who were great people. And so my mom called him up and basically said, hey, Scott's in jail in DC. We need $1,200 cash. Can we borrow it? And can you watch the kids? So these awesome friends of ours said, oh yeah, here's $1,200. Mom went down, gave the $1,200, bailed my dad out of jail. And then I remember they didn't even have to go to the court or whatever. Everything got dismissed. They got the $1,200 back, and that was it. So that is why you don't have emergency money at the safety deposit box at the bank, or emergency money at the safety deposit box at the bank, and why you have emergency money at home, because you can't access it 24/7. Now, the reason I don't recommend private vaults is because there was a vault. It was Beverly Hills, and you can Google this. And the FBI raided it and confiscated all the stuff because the vault basically advertised itself as, hey, this is a private vault where you can put anything you want, where the government's never going to know about, where, we won't take your information. It's private. Basically, they made it the most obvious place in the world that the government is going to look first. So they pretty much put a big sign outside of this private vault that said, hey, anybody, including criminals, you can store cash, guns, jewelry, drugs, whatever, and we're not going to ask any questions. The FBI raided it and, again, confiscated a ton of stuff. And honest people, the people who were actually, everything was legal, still had their stuff confiscated, and it was a massive pain in the butt, and I don't even know if they've gotten it back yet. So what I recommend is having your cash stored at home in a fireproof safe. And then if you have an office, stored at the office. I love storage units. Because storage units, you can pay cash, which means they're units. You can pay cash, which means they're off the books. The government doesn't see your credit card dinged every month. And I may or may not have many storage units throughout this wonderful country of ours. And I might not or may not have guns, ammo, cash, gold coins, and not all of them are under my name. So you can get them under a friend's name who you obviously trust, or under a spouse's name, or all that kind of stuff. So don't store your cash in the world's most obvious place, whether it's a safety deposit box, whether it's a private vault. Have it stored in multiple places in case you're trying to take a boot off a car and get arrested. So that's my long-winded answer to where I store my cash. Hey, Maria from Arizona. I'm sure it's very hot in Arizona where you're at right now. So welcome, Maria. Welcome, Ronnie from Brazil. You know, I've never been to Brazil. I've been very blessed to travel many parts of this world, mostly in Europe is where I've traveled and spent my time. But yeah, never ever to Brazil. So let's see. What's your thoughts on the Toyota, such as the Hilux, Land Cruiser, Tacoma models? Great. I mean, Toyota makes great vehicles. We called the Toyota. I've got some friends over here who are not paying attention and filling in my end. What is the Toyota? Not the Tundra. The Tundra is the truck. I'm trying to think of my SUV, which is the most popular. Somebody type it in there. What is the most popular Toyota SUV? It is the Toyota. It is the Toyota. I'm going to Google it now because it's driving me so nuts. I'm having an absolute brain freeze on it. Toyota SUV. And I've owned like multiple. 4Runner. Geez. The 4Runner is what I was looking for. So yeah, Toyota 4Runner, a great vehicle. Tacoma, Tundra, etc. Yeah, Toyotas are, I mean, they're great bug out vehicles because they're going to work, they're going to last, and obviously the versions that they use in other countries are great also. So, is that an AK on my wall? No, that is an AR-15. That is one, I'm pretty sure that's one that I built, one of my ghost guns, where I basically took a bunch of different parts and put them together. So I do own AKs. I like AKs. I always tell people, if you're traveling, well, let's say you're in the intelligence business, right? And you're trying to blend in, you're not going to be walking around with an AR-15 in Afghanistan, Iraq, whatever. Military is different, but I'm talking about intelligence officers trying to blend in. You're going to have an AK because you want to blend in. You want to have what the enemy uses. You want to not stand out like a sore thumb. So yes, I do own AKs. I know how to use them. AKs are great because they're a beater gun. I mean, you don't have to oil them. You don't have to take good care of them. You can treat them like crap and they still fire. So I own a bunch of AR-15s. I love the AR-15, but yes, if I was going in some dumpy place where I needed to blend in, I would have my AK and not my AR so that I can blend in with everything going on. Let's see what else. I've been a hermit for 3 years. Well, been a hermit for years. Welcome back. Welcome to however or wherever you were being a hermit. I would probably be a hermit if I didn't have a wife and kids. I would probably be a hermit if I didn't have a wife and kids. I'm a total homebody. I'm very content. I'm not a social person. So I can be social, meaning I have no problem talking to people. And obviously with the agency, you got to be social. You got to be able to be comfortable talking to anyone and everyone. But in real life, I'm a hermit. I'm not a social person. When I go out to dinner with some of my CIA buddies, some of them are like me, meaning we can turn it on, we can be social, we're comfortable, but it's not our natural inclination. But I go out to dinner with some of these guys where they are basically trying to recruit the waitress. So they're trying to elicit information, ask questions, and they can't turn it off. It is their nature. They're extroverts. And I'll go out to dinner with these guys, I'm like, please, like, let us just have the order. Like, you don't need to know 8,000 things about this waitress because you're not trying to recruit her to work for the United States type of thing. But they can't turn it off. I can't. Let's say Joe says, I would like to learn to shoot a gun. Where do you recommend I go for training? I have 0 gun experience. To make it easy, we are very blessed to have gun training places all over the United States, gun range. We are very blessed to have gun training places all over the United States, gun ranges all over the United States. So go to your local gun range, find out what they do. Most of these gun ranges have a introductory class. Talk to the guys, make sure you're comfortable. I will say, I'm gonna yell at the NRA right now. I'm a lifetime member of the NRA. I love the NRA. I love what they do. However, yes, there's a but coming. So I'm born and raised in Fairfax County, Virginia, as I said. Well, Falls Church, but also Fairfax County, as I spent some time, a few miles outside of DC. Well, NRA headquarters is in Fairfax, Virginia. So often when I was training new people, I would take them to the NRA shooting range, which is right there in Fairfax. Well, this is my bone to pick with them. This was years ago, obviously. Is I swear the people they hired were these guys who were very bitter and jealous that they never were Navy SEALs or never were CIA or FBI, because they would get in there and they'd have the biggest egos and they would treat you like crap. And they would like walk down the line and be like, your target is 2 inches too high, pull it down. And I remember one time the guy did it to me when I was training a new female shooter. And I didn't want, because I was and is bitter that he, again, was not a Navy SEAL. So just ignore him. Most guys at these ranges are good people. They're trying to help people. But for whatever reason, the NRA person hiring at this headquarters, at the NRA headquarters shooting range, they only hire jerks right now. Hopefully that's changed, because this was over a decade ago. So find a gun place where you can talk to the guys. You can see if they're going to be nice and kind and actually have patience, and not guys who are washouts of the military with egos who want to prove something because I was going to say something appropriate, their private part is too small. But anyways, let's move on. Which do you prefer? I like the AK-47s. I mean, I like to keep it simple. There's the AK-74, which is 308 and all that. But yeah, my AKs are just AK-47s, old-fashioned beater guns, nothing fancy about them. I would avoid the Chinese-made AKs. So there's plenty of good AKs out there. Avoid the Chinese-made ones because they fall apart. They're pieces of crap. True story about a Chinese AK. I would not have believed it if I didn't see it. So when we teach our rifle classes at our 320-acre Spy Ranch, so I was teaching one of my rifle classes. Everybody comes behind the line for safety, and then we put the rifles down. Obviously, nobody's downrange, and then we do our mag changes. We reload. We do whatever we're doing. Well, one time I'm teaching a rifle class. This guy has an AK. And I say, before we put down, everybody make sure your safety's on, all that kind of stuff. And he dropped his rifle. And I say dropped his rifle maybe from 3 inches. So it was just a, drop and boom. Well, it cracked the receiver. Safety comes off. It fires a round down range. Again, if I had not witnessed it, I wouldn't believe it, because everybody says, oh, my gun accidentally fired. Well, guess what? 99.9999% of the time, your gun will not fire if you don't pull the trigger. So when people say like, oh, it fired accidentally and it pulled the trigger, well, guess what? You probably pulled the trigger in your line, kind of like Alec Baldwin. I had to pull the trigger on that revolver that killed that. He pulled the trigger, because guns 99.9% of the time do not fire if you don't pull the trigger. But that was a case of a cheap Chinese-made AK where it fired and he did not pull the trigger, because I witnessed it. So that's rare, but it happens. So avoid those Chinese AK. What do you think? So social media crime scene. How do I see his real name? Is there a way to see it? Remember, I'm still new to these YouTube lives.
They don't have their real name.
Okay, they don't have their real name. So I can't call you by your real name. What do you think is the biggest misconception people have about working as a spy? Well, probably the biggest misconception is it's going to be like what Hollywood shows it, meaning you're going to be doing 180 reverse turns. You're going to be shooting guns. You're going to be jumping out of airplanes 24/7. That is the biggest misconception, because obviously if you're drawing your gun, if you're having to do a 180 reverse turn, or if you have to ram through a roadblock, something has gone seriously wrong. And you have to remember, in the intelligence business, you want to be a ghost. You want to blend in. You want to be able to do your job without anybody. And you have to remember, in the intelligence business, you want to be a ghost. You want to blend in. You want to be able to do your job without anybody ever knowing you're there. So if you have to draw your gun and shoot somebody, that means there was a breakdown somewhere. That means, again, you weren't running your surveillance detection routes right. You didn't pick up on your surveillance. You didn't notice that guy following you. You didn't see something going wrong. So the biggest misconception is that 100% of the time you're James Bond, jumping, flying, shooting everything. It's exciting, but it's more 99% doing your job, and then 1% hold on for dear life. So good question, though. Great question. Which is, let me see. Let me go. MP5. What about the MP5? Great gun. I love MP5s. The last time I shot an MP5, I was training with some of my FBI buddies, and I outshot them. Just, got to keep that good rivalry there for the FBI, CIA. But yeah, MP5 is an awesome gun, and you can buy what company was it that just released, the new version that civilians can buy? I can't remember who it is. I want to say it's like 2,500 dollars. I've been thinking about buying it, but I have not bought it because every time I go to buy that, I end up buying a new pistol or buy something else. But yes, if you want to send me an MP5, I'll give you my FFL and you can send it to me. Let me see. Yeah, I would avoid the North Korean AKs also. Chinese, North Korea, I would avoid those. Not good. Um, I'm not gonna buy one. I'll say that for sure. Let's see. You mentioned obtaining a gun legally not registered in your name. How is it done? Through an LLC company? No, just building the ghost guns. So I know the ghost gun laws in the last few months have changed, but you can buy an 80% receiver. Polymer 80 is a big company in the niche. So you buy the 80% receiver, then you have to drill it out yourself and you buy the rest of the parts. Then it is a legal ghost gun that you don't have to register, nobody knows about. So you can have AR-15s, you can have Glock lookalikes. I have one. I don't have my Glock lookalike around here. It's in one of my safes, or I would show it to you. But that is how you legally do it. You can buy any of the ghost gun parts, drill it, do it. It's easy to do because I am no handyman. Admittedly, I'm no gunsmith. Admittedly, but if I can build them, you can build them. So that's how you do it. The other way is to buy a gun pre 1899 because guns before 1899 are antiques. You don't have to register. You can actually ship them doorstep to doorstep. So I want to say my 1898 Mauser, I think it's an 1898 Mauser that I have, Swedish Mauser, works great, shoots great. I love it. And you can still kill somebody dead to it this day, even though it was built well over 100 years ago. And I don't have to, it's not on any ATF books. Government does not know it exists, any of that kind of stuff. Eric Halverson says the CIA has entered the chat. Has the CIA entered the chat? I don't know. If they have, shout out agency. I love the agency. Great men and women doing awesome work. Hey, Jason, has the agency any age frame to be desired? By the way, do we think of burst pistols? I'm not a huge fan of the burst pistol. I don't know why. It's not, if that's all you have, by all means, use it, carry it. But now the world's biggest fan. Also, I'm not hired. The interesting thing about the agency is that they'll hire people any age. There's a retirement age, and I want to say the retirement age 62, 65. I can't remember. But unlike the FBI, I want to say the FBI, you can't become an agent after age 35, something like that. Could be totally wrong, but I think that's what it is. But yeah, the agency will hire any age, excuse me, because they want everybody, meaning they want people who can blend in. So obviously, spies can be 25-year-olds, spies can be 45-year-olds, spies can be 50-year-olds, kind of thing. So as long as you have some skill set you think they may want, by all means, definitely apply. Let's see what else we got just going down here. I work with an embassy in East Africa, but now the country is chasing me with power of authority. Where can I report it here in the U.S. directly? Paul, talk to go to the State Department. If you're having troubles, and Paul, talk to go to the State Department. If you're having troubles and issues, go to the State Department, try and get their help. Unfortunately, you may go through the bureaucratic mess, but that is the way to do it. There's private ways, but it costs a lot more money, and you've got to have basically a great private military stuff, which we do. But again, it costs a significant amount of money, so it's not what most people are going to want to do. Is the chat being censored since you pick and choose the question you answer? No, the chat's being censored by me. And when I say censor, meaning I look at all the questions and I don't have time to get every question. So no, so it's not really being censored other than if I'm trying to scan fast type of thing and can't get to every single question kind of thing. Enforcer says, which is better, an intelligence agency and army? Not sure I 100% understand the question, but obviously I'm biased and think the CIA is the best agency. And I will say when other agencies have problems, and that could be any government agency, the DEA, the ATF, oftentimes they'll bring in the CIA to help them. But yes, I think the CIA is far and away the best intelligence agency. Now, if we're talking worldwide, there are many great intelligence agencies out there. There's the Israelis, The Cubans are very good. The Cubans are great because they're motivated because they screw up, they'll get killed. So in America, we obviously don't do that. We don't have that level of motivation because if we screw up, as I always say, the joke is if you mess up in the government, you get a promotion, but in other countries, you die. So there are many wonderful intelligence agencies like North Korea, great intelligence agency. You screw up, you die, or your family dies, kind of thing. They have more motivation. So yes, the North Korean spies are very skilled, and of course, most of these agencies like North Korea, Cuba, they're trained by the Russians, and the Russians are good too because they have that motivation of, hey, if I screw up, bad things are going to happen to me. I'm not going to get a promotion like inside the United States. Let me scroll here again. Is it true that I've never sent a text message? How's that even possible? It is 100% true. I have never sent a text message in my life. This is my phone. You can see it here. I'm just trying to make sure there's no like private information on here, but yeah, there's no private information on here. And I've never sent a text message for security, for safety, but now I do it just because I don't want to be bothered, honestly. Like when I'm working, whether that's when I'm training somebody at our 320-acre spy ranch, or I'm working with a client, or I'm doing a home security audit, or maybe I'm in my office doing proposals and work for a client, I just don't like to be bothered, honestly. I mean, half the time, not only do I not text, but I don't even have my phone on and don't even turn it on, kind of thing. And I do have another phone, which only my wife knows the number if it's some emergency. But when I'm working, whatever that work may be, I like to work. I do not like to be bothered. I do not like to be disturbed. So I will ideally, I'm trying to think when I'd have to send a text, if somebody's life was on the line. So don't have anybody's life be on the line. But yes, I've never sent a text and I never plan to. Overall, do you have some mixed feelings with the CIA, such as MK Ultra? MK Ultra was the LSD psychological thing back in the 60s. I don't remember the exact year, where some people did die. I mean, I'll say that our government has obviously done some horrible, terrible, bad things over the years. So slavery, Japanese internment camps, Native Americans. So our government has done some horrific things, made some stupid mistakes, terrible mistakes, horrific mistakes. And MK Ultra, compared to some of them, is little, meaning Native American slavery, Japanese internment camps. But that's what can I say? Is you learn from your past, you don't repeat them. Hopefully, you don't do horrible, horrible things. So yes, MK Ultra, drugging people with LSD without telling them, and one of the guys jumped off a roof. And I want to say it was one of the 8 guys working with the agency. I don't recall the whole story. So yes, the CIA, like many other government agencies, has done bad thing. Hopefully they don't do bad things again, but I'm sure they are because people always make mistakes. Hopefully not that bad. Place to work. They treat you wonderfully. You'll have your top secret security clearance, so you're set for life, and you're doing important work that most people will never ever hear about, and you'll see things that most people will never experience in their life. So that's. I like this question from Showman139. And again, I can't see your real name. Why does the government fear its own people? The government fears its own people because what do governments want? Governments want power and control. We're all familiar with the phrase of, power absolutely corrupts kind of thing, because every government secretly wants to be a dictatorship. So let's look at Russia. Let's look at Putin. Let's look at North Korea, right? All the horrible things they've done to their people over the years. They are communists. They control their people. And that's what every government wants to be, which is why we're amazingly blessed to be born in the United States of America, which is why our founding fathers, who were inspired of God to create the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration, which is why our founding fathers, who were inspired of God to create the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Declaration of Independence, the Second Amendment, very important one, because if we didn't have all those things, our government would turn into a North Korea. It would turn into a Russia, because there's always a guy at the top who thinks he's the smartest, who never wants to leave. One of my favorite stories ever, and I've told this multiple times, but I'll tell it again, is the intelligence operation. A buddy of mine, he's in a socialist country, horribly socialist country, and he says to one of the guys at the top who he's working with on an op, like, how do you believe in socialism? How do you do it? And the guy says to him, well, everybody knows socialism doesn't work unless you're at the top, and it works great for me because I'm at the top. Well, ain't that the truth? So when you're at the top, when you're the president, when you're, a senator or a congressman and you got the eagle, you're like, yes, yes, it's great for, you know, I should be the king, meaning the minions don't know what they're doing, but it's good. It's good for me. I'll tell you another true life story. And I don't think I've told this story on here, but another buddy of mine was doing an intelligence operation going overseas, and you're supposed to have a care package waiting for you. I'm not going to tell you how the care package gets there. I'm not going to tell you that kind of stuff. Mr. Ambassador, I'm here to do this operation, and I see my care package is missing my handgun. And he says, no, 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 I don't like guns. This is a very liberal ambassador. I don't like guns. You don't need a gun. And the guy's pushing back saying, I need my gun. I'm going on this dangerous op. And he says, I'm God in this country. I speak on behalf of the president of the United States. You don't need a gun. Guns are bad. There's already enough guns in this country, lawlessness. And, you're a CIA operative. You should be trained and good enough not to need a gun. So get out of there. So is this ambassador who thinks he's God is giving this a speech and not giving my friend the true care package, putting his life in danger, right? Because he's about to go on this dangerous operation. He says, this is how my buddy told me, he says, I see in the corner behind this ambassador's desk a golf bag, but this golf bag does not have golf clubs popping out of the top. And this ambassador sees me staring at it, and the ambassador looks, because I'm an important person. I need to be protected. I'm an ambassador. Again, I'm basically the president in this country. So it's okay for me to have guns, but not for everybody else. That's what liberals think. That's what liberal politicians think and everything. And that's what happens when you get up in the government. You think you're better than everybody else. You become an elitist, and they want to control you. They want to control people. So I've got my 6 kids. I want to control them because they're young, meaning I know what's right for them. I want to teach them to be good Christians. I want to teach them to be good people. But my oldest is 10. So I've got 10 kids, reverse that. I've got 6 kids who are age 10 and under. Yes, I want to control them. I want to make sure they're safe because they're kids. The government wants to do the same for us. The government doesn't realize, you're past age 18, or you can control yourself. The government wants to tell you what to do. So that is why they fear the people, because they want the control. They don't want people to have freedom. They don't want to have people think for themselves. Our freedom of speech, why we have the Second Amendment, why we have the Bill of Rights and all that, because if we didn't, everybody would become corrupt at the top, which still happens far too often. Manuel, how you doing? Are you thinking about translating your books to Spanish or other languages? Yes, I am thinking about it. I have not done it yet. I mentioned before that I don't speak Spanish, even though I need to take the time to learn. I got to spend more time doing it. My kids are in Spanish dual immersion. So my 10-year-old is almost fluent. My 10-year-old speaks great Spanish. So all of my kids are learning Spanish, but I have not. My wife is learning. I just got to find the time and make myself more motivated. But it is on my very long to-do list to have my books translated into Spanish one day. I just have not gotten there yet, but good question. Char asked me, are you held to a secrecy agreement once you leave the agency? Absolutely, you are. So when you leave the agency, they bankrupt you. So when I write my books, like I've written over, I'm trying to think, 10 books. I know it's over 10 books. I don't remember how many books I've written. But when I write my books, I have to send the manuscript, the transcript to the CIA, and they look at it and they say, yes, you can say this. And so they redact stuff. And now that I've done it so many times, I know 99% of the stuff the agency won't let me say, and I know what I'm allowed to say. So a lot of times it's not what you think. It's little things like you're reading the book and you're like, what? I'm not allowed to say this. And they've redacted a whole page. But till the day I die, I have to abide by that secrecy agreement because I signed it, which I'm fine with because I knew what I signed. I believe in protecting the secrets. I believe in obeying what I said I was going to do. It kind of annoys me when people, like the whole Edward Snowden thing. Listen, buddy, you're a traitor. You should be hung. That's my obeying what I said I was going to do. It kind of annoys me when people, like the whole Edward Snowden thing. Listen, buddy, you're a traitor. You should be hung. That's my 2 cents. I know some people love him, but you signed your secrecy agreement. You know what you were getting yourself into. So in my eyes, he is a traitor. He should be hung. I think we should hang traitors. They don't do that anymore. They put him in jail. But if I was the leader, if I was the dictator, see, this is why we don't have dictatorships. If I was a dictator, I would hang people for treason. Social media crime scene. Can you tell us about your time as a police officer? I mean, there's not much to tell, honestly. Not very exciting. It was in Virginia my first job out of college. I had applied to the Secret Service and CIA and like all these places. And I needed a job because I was graduating college, needed a place to live and put food on the table. Not like today, where if you're 30 years old, you get to live with mom and dad in their basement. So I had to be out of my house. And it was great. I love the police. I think it's a great job. But shortly thereafter, both the CIA and the Secret Service called and offered me a job. I was incredibly blessed. I chose the agency, and the rest is history. All right. I've been told for whatever reason that the stream keeps losing connection today. I guess it's been going on for a while. I did not realize that. So I'm probably going to end it soon. But my goal is, because I get so many emails and so many questions, I'm going to try and hold a live stream every week. I don't know the exact day. I'm going to try and do Thursdays, but I travel a lot. I train a lot, so I don't know the day. But I am going to start doing these live streams because I appreciate the questions. You guys give me great questions, and hopefully you find it useful. So yes, I am going to. Can the agency use people who have a degree in history? Again, it depends on what you can offer. Do you speak any languages? Do you have any connections? So they don't necessarily care about the degree so much. They care more about, again, what's your totality of what you can offer? What is your total package? So my degree was, I'm trying to think what my degree is. I got a degree in business management. Yeah, I think that was my degree. Business something. You can see how important it was. So yeah, it's more about, can you pass our background? Can you pass our psychological? Do you have, can you pass the physical? All that kind of stuff, which is very important. Let's see what else. Which is very important. Let's see what else. All right. I'm going to wrap it up for today because I guess we're still having live stream problems. But thank you for being on for me. Thank you for your wonderful questions. Let me know what questions, because like I said, let me know what, email me, send me things. Please subscribe if you're not a subscriber. I would truly appreciate that. And I will see you next week, hopefully next Thursday or whatever. And have a wonderful weekend. God bless you. God bless this country, and enjoy the rest of your day.